In the summer of 2019, centralized in the eastern communities of Tampa Bay, a vision began to take shape. The vision to glorify God through the fulfillment of the Great Commission. The means, making disciples. With the help of Pastor Scott Pierre from the Grove Winter Garden, through a relaunch and rebrand of a local body, the first steps of the vision becoming reality were taken. Pastor Scott said, "I was connected to a small and passionate congregation, one that was searching for a strong leader who shared the vision of fulfilling the Great Commission through discipleship. I knew the elders that labored long hours well, Pastor Dan and Kevin, and I knew the next step would be connecting this body and my godly friend, Kurt Gebhardt. Under Kurt's leadership, the kingdom work began in earnest." On September 15, 2019, the church officially relaunched Grove Bible, with Pastor Kurt leading the charge. During the first few months, the congregation met together Sunday mornings at Bloomingdale High School. The physical requirements to set up and tear down each Sunday became a gift of fellowship. Countless hours well worth it as new people began to be reached. The congregation spent that time leaning into learning and training under our elders. The culture of the church was built up and solidified in those first few months together. Disciple making, hospitality, greatness of God's glory, primacy of the Word of God, priesthood of believers, worshiping in the Word and worshiping in the work, bottom of the hour, lingering long, and more. Our elders led this culture development. The members picked it up, and every new individual that came through our doors would recognize them. And then, all of a sudden, the world shut down. After just a few months of meeting together due to COVID-19, Grove Bible was no longer permitted to meet in the high school. What could have been a hit that would have effectively shut the church down. Through the reliance of the Lord, the body, under the leadership of the elder board, Kurt Gebhardt, Dan Clausen, and Kevin Huggins, shifted to an online platform for Sunday services. With the lack of a physical meeting space, live streaming services were the only step forward. The innovative tech team took every effort to improve the live stream experience in order to continue to replicate the culture of the church as much as possible, as our online presence was the only way to reach people in this season. After 34 weeks of meeting exclusively online, the Lord orchestrated the growth of the church to include the purchasing of a property in fall 2020. Upon being able to gather again, it became immediately recognizable that the Lord had worked mightily during this season that could have been destruction to actually grow the quality of the congregation, both in numbers and in hunger for kingdom work, the culture of the church, and desire for hearts to be knit together. Through the modeling of the culture by the leaders of the church, even though the numbers continued to expand, the culture was deepened. The body was still hungry to serve each other, and so was the community due to understanding of the priesthood of believers. The body took each moment they could to linger long and press into meaningful soul-quality friendships. The body continued to show up at the bottom of the hour to cultivate the culture of hospitality and welcome others in. The Lord continued so powerfully that the church had to multiply services, which led to a new culture standard being adopted, worshiping in the work and worshiping in the Word, a way for each member of the body to take up the work during one service and worshiping together in the other. Work the body owned in excellence as unto the Lord. The church saw the Lord work powerfully during this time. Attendance increased tenfold. Membership tripled, and there were over 70 baptisms. The numbers, for their own sake, are not the focus. But these numbers have been a tangible illustration of the Lord using a modest body's faithful efforts to fulfill the vision He set to reach more people than ever before for the sake of the gospel. 3 years after purchasing the property, through God's provision and blessing, the congregation was able to completely pay off the property, which coincided with a new and different challenge. The body began to run out of space to linger long. Discipleship became more difficult as the room to meet ran out. There were a few that left or considered leaving due to the lack of parking. Grove kids, Grove students, and Grove 20s started to run out of space to meet. The next step seemed to be rather simple. Unwilling to divert from God's vision of the church, unwilling to turn people away from hearing the gospel, and unwilling to change the God-glorifying culture meant seeking a new, bigger space to continue to reach the eastern communities of Tampa Bay. That brought us to this season of a worship campaign. An exhortation that all people that attend the Grove would prayerfully consider offering a sacrifice that is pleasing to the Lord. Is a new building necessary for more disciple making, training of leaders, and Bible classes? Yes, but the purpose remains the same, for a bigger opportunity to broadcast the glory of the Lord. Our 5-year anniversary marks our celebration of what the Lord has done, building His church and looking forward to what He will do in our future. The Lord has worked tremendously in this past 5 years, but who knows how He will work in the next 5 to 10 years or beyond. He has done it and is capable of doing it again. God has worked so powerfully in our history. Our body remaining faithful to the kingdom work before us, the continued vision, culture, and goal. We are pursuing a new building a few miles from our current location. Why? Because King Jesus is worthy to be praised, and our efforts are to share the gospel with as many as the Lord would bring, without restrictions due to physical limitations. God has worked in mighty ways in and through Grove Bible in the past 5 years, and we are expectant that He will continue that powerful work.